Hi there, Shauna here from Wellness Seeker with your Monday Wellness again this week. So as promised this week, this is the Emotional Masterclass, the Emotional Eating Masterclass. And this masterclass this evening is accompanied by a lovely ebook that at the end of the class I will post for you all. So as promised, I said that I would do this for you, and so what I'm hoping is that this video really accompanies the ebook itself and that I don't have to keep you on too long here this evening. Also hoping that you can see me and hear me and the sound is all okay. Hi everybody for joining. Hi Caroline, hi Claire, hi everybody. Because I am working off a different format this evening, so hopefully the video sound is good and that you can hear and see me, and I promise not to keep you too long this evening, but I also promise that you are in for a lovely treat this evening. I have loads of lovely content for you, so I promise to give you as much value as I possibly can. And then at the end of it then, I promise then to have this link to the ebook that will accompany this wee video tonight. So without further ado, welcome everybody that's here. Hello to anybody that's new. And you'll find that this is a lovely tribe. We're all very good and all very welcoming. And this really is just about the service of you. And these videos are a weekly occurrence, normally on a Monday night. And they are really about just kind of giving you as much information and help and advice as possible in this lovely world of wellness. So for those of you that are joining the replay, welcome, and don't be afraid to type into the chat as we go. So this video is for you if you have been yo-yo dieting, if you haven't been able to keep to a healthy eating plan, if you find yourself secret eating, if you find yourself binge eating, if you haven't a clue why you do what you do, but you know you do it, and you know you do it well, and that's eating, but you don't understand it. So what I'm hoping to do today is this evening, I am hoping to give you kind of an understanding of why you do what you do, what you do it for, and how to actually break out of that cycle, because it is a cycle. And that's what I'm hoping to do tonight. I'm hoping to help you with the testing of whether you are an emotional eater or not. And I'm hoping really to kind of move you forward on that journey. So if that sounds good, or if there's anything else that you'd like me to cover, then we can do that. But if that sounds okay, then please let me know with thumbs up and hearts. And if there's anything you'd like me to answer, then please put into the comments box now and I'll answer it as we go. So let us start by, I suppose, let us start by testing this first. Let us test to see if you are in fact an emotional eater. Because there's a huge difference between eating just for pleasure, eating just for fun, eating just because you love it, eating just because you just want it, and eating because of you're trying to move or soothe an emotion. There's a huge difference in that. And you know, just because you can't diet properly, just because you yo-yo diet, doesn't necessarily mean that you're an emotional eater. It doesn't at all. And that's what this kind of video is in this book is. It's to allow you to test that, allow you to see if this is true. So there's a huge difference. I'll say that again because I think it's worth saying that. There's a huge difference between eating for pleasure, eating because you love it, eating because you enjoy it, and emotional eating. The two aren't the same. So let's get into the detail of that. Let's see. So if you can answer yes to some of these questions, then it's probably likely that you absolutely do eat. You are an emotional eater and you do eat to soothe emotion. So do you eat when you're not hungry? Do you eat when you're full up? Do you eat to feel better? Do you eat to soothe a particular negative feeling? Do you eat when you're stressed? Do you secret eat? Do you binge eat? Do you eat for a sense of relief for a sense of ease? Do you eat to chill out? Do you eat until you get a certain feeling in you and then all is well? Do you reach for food right after a stressful event? Do you reach for food after a particular feeling? They would all indicate that you are an emotional eater. And the other big one is, do you eat in order to feel secure and content? Now, they would all indicate that you are possibly an emotional eater. Now, for me, I would have ate when I was stressed. I would have ate when I was having a bad day. I would have ate whenever I was looking for soothing. I would have went straight for food. Straight for chocolate, particularly. Chocolate was my kind of vice. It's the thing that I used to kind of soothe myself when I was going through difficult times. So what I've done for you is I've prepared this this ebook, and this ebook is available for you after this, and it goes through that test in much more detail. But for the purposes of this video tonight, as I said, I don't want to keep you too long. For the purposes of this video tonight, all I'm asking is, are you an emotional eater? Can you say yes to some of those questions that I've posed there to you? And if you can say yes, then let's start to understand the why you're an emotional eater and what you're emotionally eating. Let's try and understand that now. So the first thing to understand is, before we go any further, is why. Why do you emotionally eat? For me, there's lots of whys, but the two main ones that I'm going to cover this evening in this wee video is, I want you to understand why you do what you do, even though you hate what you do. Because most of us understand that we eat when we're stressed, but we still do it. Most of us understand that we're secret eating or we're binge eating, but we still do it. And that can often really hurt us. And give me a thumbs up if that makes any sense to anybody that's on here. That we can really use that against ourselves. You know what you do. Like, this isn't a surprise to you. You know what you do. You know. Some people call this self-sabotage. Some people say, oh, I am sabotaging myself because, you know, I'm really hurting myself. I'm really harming myself. Does that make sense to anybody that's here? And for me, I don't think it's that simple. I think if it was that simple, we'd be able to not sabotage ourselves. I think the behaviour that we're all engaged in, that every one of us is engaged in, particularly this emotional eating behaviour, I think that serves us. And I think that's the most difficult thing to get our heads around. That the thing that we hate doing, the thing that we don't like doing, the thing that adds weight, the thing that chips away at our self-esteem, because emotional eating does do that. The thing that chips away at our self-esteem is actually giving us something. Now, that is hard. I get it. That's hard to even recognise in yourself. The very thing that you hate, the very thing that's stopping you from being the weight that you want, feeling the way you want to feel, is actually something that you need to do. You see, emotional eating is really, 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 really intrinsic in us whenever we're caught in this cycle. We hate doing it, we want to lose weight, but we struggle badly. We struggle despite PTs, despite brilliant gyms, despite brilliant diets. I'm sure everyone that's listening here could write a bloody book on diets. The reality of it is you're caught in a behaviour that's serving you, that's working for you. We do not do what doesn't work for us. So at some level, this behaviour is helping you do something. Now, that is the question. What I know for sure from all of the work that I've ever done on emotional eating with people is, it's moving something, it's moving a feeling, it's soothing a feeling, it's creating a new feeling, it's trying its best. The behaviour itself is actually giving you something. It's moving, soothing, or creating a new feeling. And when it's creating something, that's what it's giving you, and that's what you're locked into. Although it's the aftermath, and you're right, Dan, it's the aftermath that you're disgusted at. But the reality of it is you enter into that behaviour because it gives you something. Now, here's the other thing, and this is absolutely massive. This is so big. You just don't start being an emotional eater. It doesn't start out of the blue. It takes a while to get going. In fact, it takes years to build. Why? Because what happens is, whenever our brains is rewarded with a behaviour, with good feeling. So if our brains catch that you've had a behaviour that gives you a good feeling, what it does is it locks in the behaviour and it kind of stores it in the subconscious so you don't have to think too much about it. So it kind of says, shortcuts that kind of behaviour and says, if you're feeling bad, I know a go-to, I know something that you can do that'll soothe you. And so once you do the behaviour once, like once you eat to soothe yourself, your brain then kind of locks that behaviour in, locks that pattern in, and says, you know what, we'll keep that safe for you. So that the next time that you struggle, you won't even have to think about the chocolate. You won't even have to think about the sweets. You won't even have to think about, you'll just go straight to it. It's not a conscious decision. Because if it was a conscious decision, then you'd be sabotaging yourself. For most of us, it is a subconscious decision. It's a behaviour that's been locked in for a long time. And when we continue to react to that behaviour, when we continue to, not react, but when we continue to move into that behaviour, what happens is we get the reward of the good feeling and it becomes even more ingrained in our brains. And what we find is every time we get into any stressful situations, we move into that behaviour at lightning speed. It's not like you have a big long conversation with yourself. It's not like you can talk yourself out of it. You find yourself doing it even before you know. And they are the two massive parts of why. There's another smaller part of why called the RAS, the reticular activating system. And that's a really brilliant piece of kit in your mind. The reticular activating system does this. If this is familiar to anybody, please let me know. When I learned this, I was amazed. The reticular activating system is a part of your brain that helps you understand what is important to you. So if you get up in the morning and you say, today we're going to diet and we're not going to eat any carbs, your brain doesn't understand the difference between what it wants and what it doesn't want, but it understands what's important to you. So it starts to kind of become aware of what's important, which is carbs. And what do you see? Carbs. Everywhere you will look. It's kind of like if any of the girls are listening here have ever been pregnant and haven't told anybody, you start to see pregnant people everywhere. You buy a new car, you start to see the same car show up the whole time. That's a particular part of your brain that's switched on to what's important to you. And whenever you diet or whenever you try to restrict something, this particular part of your brain is kind of switched on. So you end up kind of over egging the pudding, you end up kind of leaning into the emotional eating or leaning into the eating more than you ever wanted. Does that make any sense to anybody that's on here? Let me know if that makes sense, please. So what we have then is we have some whys, why we do what we do. No, you're not sabotaging yourself. No, you're not harming yourself deliberately. You're caught in a behaviour that is rewarding. You're caught in a behaviour that's soothing. You're caught in a behaviour that works. And you're caught in some sort of brain chemistry that you can't actually put your hand on. That's your why. So if there's anything that comes from this video, give yourself a break. Stop being so hard on yourself. You do know all the information on diets, you do know how to do it, you do know it, but stop being so hard on yourself. Because this is the stuff that's tying you in. It's not the knowledge. You know what it takes to do what you need to do. It's not the knowledge. You know you have enough knowledge to absolutely write, 20 books, never mind one. And that's not what's holding you back. So, forgive yourself tonight for being caught in a behaviour you didn't understand. And at least you're beginning to understand it. So, on to the important piece now. What? What am I doing it for? What am I doing that behaviour for? What is it giving me? What is it creating for me? What the bloody hell is happening here? This is the most important part of understanding emotional eating, because see, when you switch the what off, the why doesn't matter. When you switch the what off, the why doesn't matter. The why falls away. And a lot of us are trying to treat the why instead of the what. Let me explain. Why? What do I do it for? For me, there's 3 main reasons that we emotionally eat. The first reason is that we are very, very, very poor emotional masters. What does that mean? We don't know how to soothe ourselves in difficult emotion. We don't know what to do with difficult emotion. We don't know how to treat it. We don't know how to move past it. We don't know how to let it rise and fall. We let it trap in our bodies. We get annoyed at ourselves. So we don't know what to do with this emotion. And in not knowing what to do with that emotion, what we tend to do is just soothe it externally in lightning speed. We've never been taught it. We've never been taught to self-soothe. We've been growing up in an environment where emotions are bad. Bad emotions are bad and good emotions are good, and we only should stay in the green and we shouldn't stay in the red, green being the green good place and the red being the bad feelings. And that, you know, we've grew up in families where we were told to get over yourself if you were feeling anything, that, you know, there's people worse off and you shouldn't be anywhere near this feeling and you should just be happy and you should be grateful. And so we never know how to actually manage our emotion. We never know how to hear it. We never know how to hold it. We never know how to soothe it. And we externalise it the entire time. We soothe it. And a lot of us get caught in that pattern of soothing this feeling or these particular feelings that you don't like in eating. And we set that pattern up as young as 9 and 10 and 11. Like we set it up kind of pre-teenage. And then we wonder why, when we're 40, we can't get out of this behaviour because it's so locked in at this stage. So that's a massive what. You know, what do I do this for? That's massive. I'm a poor emotional master and I don't know what else to do with this emotion. So I just eat it. So I just soothe it. The other one is a really important one, and I'm smiling because the other one is my one, right? This next one is so key to me. There is, and you've heard me say this before, there is 6 basic human needs. I'm not going to go through them tonight, so nobody panic. And some of these basic human needs that are intrinsic to us, we feed with food. Let me explain. There's 4 basic human needs of the personality. One of them is variety. If you have a high need for variety, you will find variety in whatever way you can. I find variety in food. I love going for meals. I love cooking at home. I love inviting friends. I use food for variety. And that gets me into all sorts of trouble. Because I lock myself in to that behaviour because it creates that good feeling of variety. And I find it very difficult to get out of. If that makes any sense, please give me a thumbs up or a wee heart. There's other human need like love and connection. Love and connection is a huge human need. They need to be loved, they need to be connected, they need to belong. And particularly in Irish families, we find this need to feed. This need to feed our families. This need to create food and be loved and show love through food, show love through dinners, show love through giving food and preparing food. And very seldomly, most of us are bloody hungry. So we're creating a feeling of variety or love and connection through this action. And that is massive. So what's really important to understand is in the what is there any of my basic human needs that I am using food for? And how can I understand it first is the first thing. And can I find variety or can I find love and connection in different ways so that I don't use food for it? The last one is probably the most important one, and it's the one that I would kind of treat in session, and the one that I see the most, and it is core feelings. It's old wounds. It's really old wounds of self. It's self-loathing, it's self-hating, it's low self-esteem, low value of self. It's all that I am worthless, I am rubbish, They are really difficult to shift. But when you get a core feeling, and it's so sore, what you find is, that the first thing you'll do is look to feed it. First thing you'll do is look to soothe it because it's so sore. It's much sorer than the first one I've explained. And what we often find with that core feeling is you have lots of other behaviours around that, but emotional eating can be so badly tied in to that core feeling that I am useless, I am worthless, I am not enough, I am. And that often creates the cycle that I see. And this cycle is, so if I have an event or a problem in my life that shows this core feeling, this I am worthless, I am useless, I am rubbish, I am not enough, and I go straight to food after that feeling that I get, because the food soothes, moves, creates, settles, contents me for a wee while at least. What happens is then I am disgusted at the behaviour, the secret eating, the binge eating, the overeating. I'm disgusted at the weight that I'm putting on. I'm disgusted at myself. And what does that do? That feeds that core belief on the way up. And what that behaviour does is feeds the core belief, I'm useless, I'm worthless, I can't even do this right. And then what you do then is you use all that diet and information against yourself. I know better, why aren't I doing better? I know better, why aren't I doing better? And you begin to hurt yourself. And you layer into the core belief itself. And you create the same cycle the entire time. Now that one there is the one that I would see, and the one that needs kind of the most digging at. But when you switch that core belief off, then you don't need to go under the emotional eating. But what I will say about that core belief is, you don't really need to switch the core belief off. You just need to become aware of the core belief in its first instance to be able to get a handle on it. Once you've got a handle on it, you can stop yourself from moving into the feeling. So once you understand what the core feeling is, yes, Caroline, not enough, eat enough, not enough, it's a vicious, that's absolutely right. So that's exactly what we do. We get caught in that bottom part really, really, really strongly. And that bottom part, that core feeling piece, is the main driver of emotional eating. It's absolutely. Now what I'm saying to you is, once you switch it off, you're grand. But it takes work to switch it off. And what I'm trying to do tonight is give you hope. I'm trying to say, look, yes, switching it off is absolutely, the holy grail. But even becoming aware of what it is a huge step in the right direction. Most of us are sailing in the dark here. Most of us don't even know what it is. Most of us don't even know if there's any of these, what am I doing this for, at play here. So this might be the first time that you're listening to this. This might be the first time that you're even hearing this. This might be the first time you're connecting the dots. You're connecting the behaviour with the emotion. That's okay. That's completely alright. And all I'm saying is, just for the purposes of this wee video, don't put so much pressure on yourself to be switching off the core belief, but at least become aware of it. At least ask yourself, what is it that I'm doing? Is this a wound? Is this a not enoughness? What is this that's happening to me? What feeling is this driving? What feeling am I avoiding? What feeling am I moving? What feeling am I stuffing? Is it because I just don't like stress? Is it because I don't like, everyday feelings? Or is this a different feeling? Or is this my basic human needs? It's quite easy when you see it pointed out. It's 3 things that you need to assess, 3 things that you need to stop, 3 things that you need to switch off. And I know I have a tendency to kind of break stuff down and make it easier. But when you know what you're dealing with, you can deal with it much better. And that's kind of the whole purpose of this video tonight. When you know what you're dealing with, you're much more able to deal with it and stop hurting yourself, stop beating up yourself, stop living in that vicious cycle, yes, that Caroline's talking about there. So hopefully tonight that'll have set in motion some of the detail of what is it's happening, why it's happening, and what it is you're doing, what it is that you're creating, what it is you're moving, what it is you're soothing, and maybe point you in the right direction as to what you need to do. Maybe you need to do, if you've been trying to lose weight and lose weight and lose weight and you've never been able to, then maybe some of this stuff is the reason. So have a wee think, maybe, rewind the video again, play it again. But after I'm finished here, what I will do is I'll put up your emotional eating ebook, and that'll go into much more detail for you here. And what I am doing is, and I haven't done this for ages, I think it's been about a year since I've done this, but what I am going to do is I am going to launch the course, the emotional eating course, very soon, in the next few weeks, because I've seen a lot more people come into the office of recent with an emotional eating problem. So that is the plans for the future. So if anybody wants any more information on that, please PM me, no bother. If anybody has any questions, please PM me. Hopefully the emotional eating book will help you out. And if there's anything else that I can help you with, please feel free to PM. It's no bother at all. I'll answer it as quick as I can. So let me know how you found that. Was that helpful tonight? Was that nice tonight? Thanks, Anne. That's perfect. Did it make sense? Yeah, positive self-talk, if we could master that. You see, Anne, if we're relying on mastering the self-talk, if we're only relying on that and we're not actually switching off the what it's driving, then we're pushing a boulder up a hill. Because what we're saying to ourselves is that if I could talk myself out of this, I would get out of it, and it's kind of not that simple. Self-talk doesn't take away core pain. Self-talk doesn't take away the poor emotional mastery. They are all kind of pieces that need worked at. But once you know how to work at them, it really is. It's easier than kind of trying to affirm everything the whole time. But getting caught in this behaviour, getting caught in this, I suppose, behaviour that you feel as if you've no real control over, because it's all emotionally driven. That's hence the emotional eating. I hope that was an alright explanation. So thank you so much. Thanks, Geraldine. Thanks, Victoria. Hopefully that was of some. Thank you, Janet. Thanks a million. She'll see you all next week. And if anybody wants any particular topic, let me know and I'll see what I can do. Yes, Pauline, those are the core beliefs, wouldn't you know? They're at the root of most bloody things, we know. So, but just to say before I go, not everybody has a core belief at the root of emotional eating. For some people, it's not that complex, and all I wanted you to do tonight is to work out what is actually happening for you. What is the complexity in which you live? Is it just human needs? Because that's certainly what it is for me. I love variety, and I have no intention of giving up lovely food anytime soon. Or is it just that you can't hold the feelings, or is it the core belief? What is it? Or is it a combination of three? Whatever it is, it's doable and it's changeable, and it's all in your hands. So good night for now, and I shall see you all soon. I love this tonight, so thank you for joining me. It was just great. Thanks a million.